Well, would you look at that? It turns out that Mohammed Salman was the biggest victim in his own terrorist attack on Boulder, Colorado. Now, if you're like me, you're probably wondering, why in the world are all the photos of him shirtless? And why does his mugshot look like someone took a cheese grater to his nose? And why is his ear all bandaged up? Well, it turns out that he accidentally set himself on fire during the attack. So not only is his entire family about to be deported from the United States, but he actually injured himself in this would-be deadly terrorist attack. All of this revealed by Good Morning America.
The fallout from the Boulder, Colorado firebombing attack. The wife and 5 children of suspect Mohammed Sabri Soliman now in ICE custody, being processed for expedited deportation.
Mohammed's despicable actions will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. But we're also investigating to what extent his family knew about this horrific attack.
Chilling video shows what appears to be the moment the suspect threw a Molotov cocktail into a peaceful group of Jewish demonstrators, setting innocent people and later himself on fire, allegedly yelling "Free Palestine" at the crowd and injuring a dozen people before he was taken into custody. Authorities saying they recovered a weed sprayer backpack containing flammable liquid along with 16 unused Molotov cocktails. Soliman is an Egyptian national and was allegedly in the country illegally after overstaying his tourist visa. ABC News has learned he appeared to record pro-terror messages just hours before.
I mean, just talk about a spectacular backfire. Apparently, Soliman spent over a year planning this terrorist attack, and yet he didn't kill anyone. Thank God. Now, there were 12 victims, and one of them is in critical condition in the hospital, but they are all expected to recover, and like I said, no one was killed. So, if you think about it, the biggest victim, and I hate to use the word victim because it's not like I sympathize or empathize with him, but the biggest victim is really Soliman himself, because not only did he catch himself on fire, but his entire family is about to be deported back to Egypt. He faces 624 years in prison. Just, again, a spectacular backfire, totally humiliating for him. He gets what he deserves. But unfortunately, the media is already spending this. They're already trying to get the general public at large to sympathize with not just this man, but his family. And look, we shouldn't be surprised because it's the mainstream media, but the earliest indication of this was immediately after the terrorist attack, where MSNBC referred to this illegal Muslim Egyptian immigrant as a white man. Take a look at this.
As far as the investigation itself, we're still trying to verify and confirm some video, but it appears to show a significant portion of the incident as it happened. There's an individual that's taken into custody. He's a white male. Whether or not that's the person that police ultimately arrested and will ultimately charge in this crime, a bit of a question at this time, but that's just what we've seen so far.
They were really quick to report that he was a white male, despite the fact that his mugshot obviously shows, well, you get the idea. It's just funny how predictable, funny is not the right word, it's frustrating how predictable the media is when it comes to this type of reporting. We see it all the time when it comes to mass shootings, right? If the shooter of a mass shooting is Black, Hispanic, Asian, we never hear about their race. Or if we do hear about it, it's a buried lead way deep in the article, or we hear about it weeks later. But if it's a white shooter, you're going to hear lone male white shooter, not just immediately after the shooting, but for weeks on end, nonstop 24/7 in the news cycle. Well, speaking of mass shootings, the reason that Mohammed Soliman used Molotov cocktails is because our current gun laws actually worked. He was planning a mass shooting to do this terrorist attack. And he went in to buy a gun, and he was denied buying a gun because he didn't pass the background check. He's not an American citizen. So that's why he decided to go the route of Molotov cocktails. Now, you would think that the Democrats and the mainstream media that have been pushing for tougher and stricter gun laws would be happy about this, right? You would think they would be celebrating that the laws on the books actually worked. Because think about it this way, had he gotten a gun, people would have actually died. Thanks to the Molotov cocktails, there were no casualties, but this terrorist attack could have been so much worse. But instead of looking at the good side of things, no, the media is big mad that there are consequences for Soliman and his family. Just take a look at what they're talking about on MSNBC.
Taking an example is understating it, Willie. You know, White House almost gloating at Victory Lap. A number of tweets last night about about this about this suspect's family, rushing them out. And I was told by a White House advisor late yesterday that this is sort of the plan here. Is that we know from covering Donald Trump for a long time, his reflex is always to come back to immigration. He believes that's a signature issue. He believes that's what got him elected, and that Americans want to see things like this. Now, in this case, obviously, we don't know the family's involvement. The suspect is accused of a heinous crime. There are certainly plenty of Americans who would be glad to see him go, but might have questions about the family. But they're leaning into this sort of in-your-face imagery that didn't necessarily work per polling earlier this term with this deportations to the El Salvador prison and the like, but they're doubling down on that sort of public image now.
The suspect is accused? Despite the fact that we not only see him on video, but thanks to Good Morning America, we also know that he recorded video manifestos explaining why he did what he did. And quite frankly, it doesn't matter whether or not his family was involved, because we again know that they are here illegally from Egypt. Again, play dumb games, win dumb prizes. The media is in cover-up mode, basically, and they want us to sympathize with the man's family. Just take a look at this article today from USA Today. Habiba Solomon, his daughter, wanted to be a doctor. Then her father firebombed Jewish marchers in Boulder. I mean, they want us to sympathize with his family. Oh, they're about to be deported. She was going to enter a life in medicine and try to help people, but now that's all gone because her father committed a terrorist attack. Boo-hoo, poor her. Meanwhile, where are the profiles? I mean, we are seeing profiles of his family, profiles of his children. Where are the profiles for the victims? We're not really seeing that. So because we're not seeing that, I wanted to talk about that. One of them is an 88-year-old survivor of the Holocaust who was burned in the Colorado attack. She spoke out and said, what the hell is going on in our country? She also said, we are better than this. I mean, just think about how awful that is to be an actual survivor of the Holocaust. You come to America and then, in your elderly years, you are the victim of an anti-Semitic attack. That is just horrific. And yet the media doesn't want to do profiles on her. They don't want us to sympathize with her. Instead, they're focusing on, his poor family about to be deported. And, this is par for the course for the Democrats. The Colorado Attorney General said, there may be an actual, they may have an asylum claim. They're not here on asylum. Take a look at what he had to say on CNN.
The important part about due process is if someone has a basis to stay here, they have a legitimate claim for asylum that they're threatened, that's going to get evaluated by an independent fact finder. And that's how our immigration system should work. It should work based on the facts, based on the law. It shouldn't be targeting people in ways that are haphazard, in ways that deny due process, or in ways that are based on fear, not based on facts.
But just, are you saying this is haphazard or based on fear?
This is a procedure that's been used before, an expedited procedure, and the point is they may have a claim for asylum, they may not. That'll get decided by the administrative process, and that's how it should work.
Excuse me, Mr. AG, but they are not asylum seekers. We know that thanks to their records, according to News Nation. Take a look at the third bullet point here. Solomon has been living in the United States since 2022 on an overstayed tourism visa. Yeah, they came here for tourism. That visa lasted for about 6 months. When it expired, they stayed. They haven't tried to become citizens. They haven't tried to do anything. They just have been here illegally ever since. There were never any claims for asylum. So for the Colorado Attorney General to put that claim out there is just absolutely ridiculous. But what's even more ridiculous is that a CNN correspondent was actually furious that the FBI labeled this obvious terrorist attack a terror attack before the local police did. Here's what she had to say.
Police chief comes out and says, we don't have 2 + 2 = 4 yet. In other words, this is obviously an anti-Semitic attack and the victims were obviously part of that group. Therefore, we're not calling it terrorism. It adds a lot of, it's not good for the community. It's not good for the potentially targeted community. It makes law enforcement look disorganized, and it makes the FBI look so juvenile. Like, why are you getting ahead of the police chief who says, I don't know what this is. It sounds, maybe it is what we all think it is, but maybe it's not. And he has no incentive to get it wrong. So we're going to take a step back, not be responsive to tweets by two heads of the FBI who don't have a long history in local law enforcement. And we will wait and hope it isn't what we all worry it is. And if it is, then there'll be an investigation. But that's like nothing I'd ever seen before.
So basically, she wants Kash Patel and Dan Bongino to take the lead from the local police chief. But if you go to LinkedIn and search the police chief, his name is Stephen Redfern, take a look at his activity. Oh, what's that? He liked a mural honoring George Floyd. I think that says a lot about his credibility and sort of where he is as a local law enforcement chief. Speaking of George Floyd, remember in 2020 how CNN referred to mostly peaceful protests, despite the fact that one of their own reporters was literally standing in front of burning buildings behind him? Well, take a look at how CNN reported on this terrorist attack. According to them, a man reportedly set people on fire in Boulder, Colorado, leaving multiple individuals injured, the city's police chief said, as people gathered for a, quote, peaceful, unquote, pro-Israeli demonstration. Now, forget the fact that the demonstration was the victim of a terrorist attack. They actually were peaceful. It wasn't peaceful because of the terror, but like they weren't causing any harm, yet that's how CNN chooses to report on it. This is CNN. Now, in today's video, I would like to acknowledge Kevin Combe, Helga Shabalaba Ding Dong, Jenny Rankin, Lily Jane, and Bart Denny as the members of today's Governors Club. These are people who have given super thanks or tips to the channel. Thank you so much, and I am glad that you enjoy. Now, despite the fact that CNN has lost its mind, as well as the Democrats and the rest of the mainstream media, Scott Jennings still has his head on straight, and I think he absolutely nailed his analysis here.
Well, I mean, this is horrific. And what more do we need to see, Jake, before we realize this Free Palestine movement is nothing more than a domestic terror organization right now? I mean, we had the killings in Washington a couple of weeks ago. We have this issue in Colorado. We've seen, the activities on college campuses now for months and months and months and months. The rise of anti-Semitism in America, the rise in the number of people who have come to America who hold anti-American views, anti-Western views, and anti-Semitic views and are now willing to act on it. It is absolutely outrageous. And I think as a society, we need to understand we are dealing with domestic terrorism. It's growing more violent by the day. And if we don't deal with it, these kinds of things are going to keep happening in cities all over the place. It's awful. And we need to come to grips with the fight that we're in right now in America, a fight for the future of our country and the future of Western civilization, in my opinion.
Last but not least, while we're on the topic of illegal immigration, Democrat Representative Becca Balint accidentally revealed what she really thinks about migrants during a town hall.
Labor, and of course, we have to come to a place in Congress where it is no longer a political issue, but we see it as an existential issue for the country. If we don't have avenues for people to come here legally to work or to build a home here, I'm going to be really crude right now. We're not going to have anybody around to wipe our ass. We don't have enough people.
To wipe your behind? I'm not going to say it because I know it's going to offend some people, but talk about demeaning and dehumanizing. To think about migrants that way as just people who wipe your behinds, do your dirty work. I mean, as someone who comes from an immigrant family, and obviously my parents came here legally, I find that incredibly insulting. So shame on her. But as always, all of that is just my analysis and commentary. That's what's going on in the world of politics from my point of view, and I would love to hear from you. So Becca Balint, Democrat Representative Becca Balint, talking about immigrants just being good for wiping Americans' behinds. Do you think that that's just her thoughts, or do you think she accidentally revealed what the rest of the Democrat Party actually thinks? Is that how Democrats actually view immigrants? Let me know down in the comments below. If you haven't already, please be sure to leave me a thumbs up. I know it's a simple thing to ask for, but it really does help me reach more viewers like you. I've received a lot of requests, but again, if you have any requests on the piano, I'm gonna film something tomorrow, hopefully for release Friday morning. Just sort of sight reading everyone's requests, so it should be a fun time. And I wanted to assure you that whether you emailed or left it in the comments down below, I have received those. So if there are any more, just a final call before I film that. Be sure to leave me a thumbs up. I know it's a simple thing to ask for, but it really does help me reach more viewers like you in the algorithm. Be sure to smash that subscribe button and to check out one of these videos.